Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Matthew Boyle from LanguageCardGames.com, where we believe if you can play cards, you can learn languages. And in today's video, I want to share with you a topic entitled 5 Ways That Technology Might Be Sabotaging Your Language Learning and What You Can Do About It. I posted this article on Reddit a while back. It got some good play there. Hopefully, you will find most of the ideas in here valuable and not too contentious, but if you disagree or you see things a different way, please let me know in the comment section because I want to make some of these ideas even better. And the first one is, we need to shift from isolation to interaction. So we all know there's that common stereotype, those news articles we see or those pictures we see of people who end up more anxious and depressed after having used technology for many hours, even if they were supposedly or allegedly having contact with other people. It wasn't that real type of deep connection that we get when we're with people in the same physical space, in person. So communication behind the screens, in my opinion, is a poor substitute for real face-to-face communication in the living presence of another human being. There's so many rich social cues and signals that our minds are designed to take in. And that can make us feel a lot more positive and encouraged, which is important when we're thinking about trying to progress and learning a language. So my advice here would be to join some kind of a regular, like maybe a weekly language exchange or a language learning game night. Second thing is, we should consider how to change passivity into purpose. So technology can be engaging at times if you pick the right type of platform or app, but I've noticed in my own life that sometimes hours will pass by for me when I'm on my laptop surfing the web, and I am receiving a lot of input. I am absorbing a lot of interesting information, but I haven't really exerted myself in an active way. I haven't really put what I know to the test and applied it in a real life situation or a semi real life situation. So one thing I would like you to do is recognize how much of the time you're spending with technology is really a more passive form of learning. Or at worst, maybe you're not learning much at all because of what the type of content that you're looking at. And I would switch instead to being more purposeful when you go online, choosing a kind of platform where you can thoughtfully engage with people. Number 3 would be to change addiction to awareness. So you've probably heard the saying that technology can be a wonderful servant, but it's a horrible master. So I think if we're simply addicted to our technology, then we'll be at the mercy of people and companies that do not have our best interest in mind. As we know, these days, the tech companies and the app companies are in the attention war. They're in a war for ever greater slices of our attention. So the more addictive they can make their apps or their products, the more time we will spend on them, the more money they get. And they're in a constant war of one-upmanship with other apps and other companies to keep us on their platform longer. And they're coming out with tiny little innovations almost daily and they're running little tests on us to see just how well they can hook our brains. Does this work better than this function or this feature did yesterday? No? Okay, then put it back. We'll try something else. And they're constantly trying to make these things more addictive. So what I want to suggest to you is try to manage the time that you spend online and on the various apps. And funny enough, it's kind of like it's kind of ironic that we can use some apps now to help us get a look at how much time we're actually spending on apps and what we're doing on other apps. So you could use technology, in this case, to kind of fight or control technology. And some people are running these apps that will shut off their other apps once they've been on it for a certain allotted amount of time every day. So help yourself become more aware of how addicted you are. You might be spending much more time on these apps and platforms than you really think, so it can be helpful if you measure it. Okay? The next one is to change distraction into dedication. Now, what do I mean by that? This one's related to the last one, but it's slightly different. When we are on our technology, it is so easy to get pulled away from whatever thoughtful or constructive thing we're doing on our technology to something that is more superficial or a waste of our time. There are notifications, there are vibrations, there are pop-ups. Even if we turn all of those things off with an airplane mode or something like that, because we are on our technology where we so often do those things, we feel the pull to just go over there to check, just go over there to have a look. So, and whenever you do that, here's the really crazy thing, here's the really dangerous thing. Whenever you leave what you're doing to go check those other things just for a moment, there's a switching cost that is devastating. It's really impossible for you to do any kind of very meaningful, deep work. It can take 10, 15 minutes or more to get into a flow state. And then it can take equally that amount of time to get back into a flow state, even if you've only left it for a few seconds. And I know this for myself to be completely true, because when I'm designing games and working on games, I have to get into that state and stay in it for hours to make a good, productive set of cards for a game. So maybe one thing that you can try is, well, first of all, I would recommend the book Deep Work by Cal Newport. Maybe you can read some of Cal Newport's books or watch some of his interviews. He has a lot of great tactics for doing deep work and managing technology use. You can also try something like the Pomodoro method, which is you work for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever it is, you take a 5-minute break. And what you can do is set a timer and say, I will not check anything until this timer has passed. Now, in my opinion, 20 minutes or 30 minutes, you're just starting to get into deep work. But if that's the best you can do at the current time, go for that. Start there and build up gradually to the point where you can do deep work for hours without checking technology. Okay? And my last tip for you today, again in this topic of 5 ways that technology might be sabotaging your language learning and what to do about it, the 5th tip is we should think about how we can change dependency to diversity. So I'm the kind of person who thinks that a dependency of any kind is it carries the seeds of its own destruction. If we're too invested in one methodology, such as learning languages with technology, we'll be completely beholden to any disadvantages of that methodology. So, in my opinion, I liken it to a monoculture. Like, this would be my metaphor. We all know the monocultures, let's say, of corn or soy that have become the food for all of the animals, and also it goes into like all of our snack foods. But that also opens us up to incredible disadvantages. What if something happens to that single crop? It could devastate states. It could devastate entire production across states because they're only farming that one particular thing. And so in a similar way, if we're just using our technology, just using apps, then we could experience all the disadvantages that come along with that. It might be better to diversify. And one thing I want to recommend to you, again, just to come back to the field that I'm in, is I want to recommend that you set up a game night with real people. I want to recommend you try some physical resources and physical products and physical games rather than being online all the time on your phone or whatever. Now, just in closing, why am I so interested in this topic? Well, of course I have a bias because I'm selling physical products right now, but I'm not, first of all, I support technology use. I use it for myself for my own language learning, and I'm thinking about how to make electronic versions, apps, and games of my card games in the future. So I'm not against it. But one of the reasons in particular for me that I like to explore other ways to learn my languages without technology is because I spend so much time already on my computer and my phone for work. I spend hours on those things every day for my job, and then I spend a few more hours just to keep in touch with friends and family. And so I've already spent many hours on it. I don't want to spend more on them in order to study and learn languages. And one thing in particular I've noticed it's really bad for is my eyes. It has made my eyes very painful in the recent years. Actually, it was only about maybe, I would say, maybe about a year ago that I started a new job where I had to be on the computer and on the phone a whole lot more. And I noticed that my eyes were getting more, painful, dry, blurry, all that kind of stuff. So that's a reason is important for me. Also, a reason why this is important for me is kind of a generational thing. When I was growing up, I played a lot of games with my friends and family in person, and we weren't on the technology all that much. Now, of course, everything's changed, and when I go back to my hometown street, I rarely see kids outside. Why? Because everybody's inside playing on computers and video games. When I was even a young man in my 20s on that street, or as a teenager, that street would often be full of kids, especially if the weather was nice. But now it's common to see many nice weather days just pass by and everybody's inside. So something's wrong when we're staying on the technology that much and we're not connecting with other real human beings. It can make us feel a little bit anxious, depressed, lonely, isolated, and we can change all that. We can totally flip that the other direction if we just get together with people and learn together with them. Of course, technology, if that's your only way to connect with people and you don't have a lot of people near you who are learning that type of thing, definitely avail yourself of the technologies. Okay, if you have any comments or questions about this topic, hit me up in the comments section below, and I'll put a link here, so if you want to go and read that short blog article that I posted on Reddit, you can. I'll see you back here next time at Language Card Games. Bye for now.